a little bit of insight into the way people's minds work, and they seem to work pretty much the same. When I'm down there in Naples, Florida, the letters to the editor come from wealth envy types masquerading as environmentalists. You see, everywhere you go, you see wealth envy in the letters to the editors of newspapers. People who were jealous and envious of those who have worked harder than they and acquired more than they. Like I said in Naples, the wealth envy people down there in Collier County, they masquerade as environmentalists. In Tucson, there's not so much pseudo-environmentalism, but the wealth envy is there. It's everywhere. Okay, it goes back to the beginning of our society. There will always be people who are jealous and resentful of those who have worked harder and accomplished more. You either damn the achievers for their accomplishments, or you sit back and wonder, and you wonder why you aren't one of them. Now, there was one particular letter in the Arizona Daily Star last week that, just one little sentence, actually, just 2 words in one little sentence that really got me going. I saved it. And then, of course, when I started packing up on Saturday morning, I couldn't find it anywhere. Maybe some of you Sharpies out there in Arizona at the Arizona Daily Star can find the actual letter. But it was somebody that was whining about the oil prices, this, that, and the other thing. And right there in the heart of that letter, he said that Americans have to end their excessive consumption, not just of gas and oil, but just our society based on excessive consumption. Now, what is the definition of excessive consumption? I started working on this. The definition: excessive consumption is defined as the purchase of anything by somebody other than yourself that you can't afford. If somebody else buys something out there that you can't afford, that's excessive consumption. So I started playing with this obsessive consumption phrase from this Tucson character out there. Let's say somebody goes out into the Tucson foothills up there in Ventana Canyon or whatever, and they buy a nice, just a couple, an elderly couple. They're retired, they're empty nesters, the kids are gone. They go buy a 5,000 square foot home with an infinity swimming pool and a putting green and a 3-car garage and a drop-dead home theater and all of these wonderful, wonderful amenities. And then, oh, that's excessive consumption. They don't need a 5,000 square foot home. You know, and especially in light and view of the fact that most of the people in Europe, you get a empty nester couple like this, are going to live in 1,000 square feet. What in the world does a couple need with 5 times that much space and 3 cars? Then there's only 2 of them. And if you think this is excessive consumption, and I'm sure that this letter writer in the Tucson newspaper would think so, why don't you go out and tell all of the construction laborers, together with all of the people who made every single item and gadget and appliance and stick of furniture and piece of wood, you know, every clay tile for the roof, you go out there and tell them that it is your considered opinion that they should not have had that work. They should not have had the work and earned the money necessary to produce the items that went into this house because it was all excessive consumption anyway. Now, how are you going to phrase that? You're going to walk up to the guy and say, you know what? I know you make a living and you raise your children with the money you make building those 60-inch flat-screen TVs and milling that paneling that went into this house and making the gunite and preparing for that pool. And I know you make a living from that, but the truth is nobody really needs those things. That's all excessive consumption. Therefore, I decree that the production of those things needs to be halted right now because it just leads to excessive consumption, and you need to go out there and find yourself a job building things that people actually need instead of building things that people just want. Maybe we need a bureau. Here's an idea. A bureau of excessive consumption. It would have to operate at the federal level. Now listen, folks, because I'm coming up with an idea here, and this idea is so good that some liberal, bedwetting Democrat at some time over the next couple of years is going to throw it right back at you as their idea. We get a Bureau of Excessive Consumption. Okay? It will determine how much you can spend. You see, we already have the poverty level. We already have the poverty level. The Department of Commerce already establishes dollar amounts for poverty levels for various sized households. And if you earn and spend less than the designated poverty level, then you're determined to be living in poverty, no matter how much you have in stocks or bonds or investments or saving. But that's another rant. So if the government sets a poverty level for a household of 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, then they can set a excessive consumption level for that same household. A ceiling. And if you spend above that ceiling, you are engaging in excessive consumption. See, the first step here is, since the government establishes a poverty level, I'm telling you, some Democrat's going to come out with this plan. I'm giving them the basics for it right now, because this can make money for the federal government. Since the government already sets the minimum spending, that's the poverty level, let them set the maximum level of spending you as a family can engage in. That's your excessive consumption threshold. And if you spend above that, you're engaged in excessive consumption. Now here's what happens. We'll call the excessive consumption limit the ECL. Okay? Everybody is given consumption credits by the federal bureaucracy. If you're a family of 5, you get so many consumption credits. And these consumption credits allow you to consume and to spend right up to the excessive consumption level. I hope this Tucson tool that came up with this letter to the editor is hearing this. Him and his whining about excessive consumption. So, if you spend less, if you don't use all of your consumption credits, then you can sell your excess credits to people who want to excessively consume. Okay? So you don't use all of your credits. You can sell them, just like carbon credits and this and that. You can sell them to somebody that wants to engage in obscene spending, and you can make some money from this. And those people that want to engage in excessive consumption, they'll have to pay to do it. And, of course, those credits will be transferred through some government agency that will pay you for the credits and then charge a premium to the wealthier for their excessive consumption credits so that they can go out and buy the big screen TVs, the 5,000 square foot houses. It'll be a consumption cap and trade system. So there's the germ of the idea. Let's wait for some Democrat to flesh it out for us and make it a proposal so that we can combat the evil of excessive consumption in the United States. Oh, it's killing us all out there.
Think of it as higher education for government school graduates.
That was pretty cool.